Yes. Case study time. On the dollar, the key, it'll be a Forex one on Euro US dollar. So on the dollar, you had this weekly fair value gap, strong rejection candle coming into it, and you had this overlapping defense, and it's NFP week, so we've got NFP on Friday. What you had on EU, which is the weakest pair, so for the dollar going, I should explain that more actually. So for the dollar going up, just a short-term bias of the dollar going up into this weekly FVG overlapping area. So just to there, from here to there. Short-term bias of the dollar going up, right? So EU was really the only pair, or the only major, that you could look for shorts off a weak dollar, or a strong dollar, sorry, in the short term, to the dollar going up. As what you had on EU, you had this massive sweep of this high and this breakaway gap underneath. So once you have this massive sweep, you've got no more discount arrays on the weekly till this breaker. So this was the target, and this was the unusual context that I was looking at. To be honest, I was never going to trade it, but I was just looking at it, and I know some other people that did take a trade. I think they got stopped out, unfortunately. But yeah, so on the daily, on EU, we had also already ran into this overlapping defense the other day, which was quite nice. So this area was now a low resistance area. You just had these wicks, or previous day wick. This was initially this was a pretty decent 2-candle rejection of this daily overlapping defense, but today didn't start with the follow through. So today it continued to go down, which we wouldn't want to see if you wanted to continue up, right? Which is good for this short. It's worth bearing in mind that the news, this does play a bit of a part. The news today is at 10 a.m. and this trade was well before that. So there's no news supporting the idea. So that was obvious. Sort of rule number one, you've not got news supporting the idea. But anyway, on the 4 hour, I might use the bar repo, but I might not. On the 4 hour, you had, actually, why not? This is what you had, and you were making the next candle. So it's important to bear in mind that this is weekly unusual context. So ideally, you would have normal 4 hour context, at least, if not daily. But this was in the middle of making a third candle, which would complete this fair value area. Short-term low, short-term high, short-term low. So that was already iffy, because you're trading the third candle on the high time frame. Then it was the hourly that really was tricking people into this, because the hourly was looking nice. This is what the hourly was, right? You had this hourly fair value gap just about overlapping this low. So really nice overlapping defense there. But what is really important to take into account is that when you reach an ITL, you zoom out. And this was a 1 hour ITL or ITH zoom out. This was a 1 hour ITL. And ideally, you would like to see new context if you were going to continue to trade. But you zoom out, and on the 4 hour, the bar replay doesn't give the right sort of the candle at the time. But on the 4 hour, it was a third candle, and it was iffy, right? 'Cause you don't know whether it's going to keep on going down, despite it did make this good overlap. However, with no news, with the dollar also potentially hitting its previous day high here, that upward movement could be stopped. Also, the no news, if you're going to enter on a lower time frame with a relatively speaking small stop loss, that news could have messed up the trade anyway. So there was a lot of stuff going against it. The only thing, you might be thinking, what did this have going for it? But it was a good unusual context sort of chart going down, trading into that. But I don't know why. NFP week, you just wait to see what NFP does if you haven't traded on the Monday, really. But yeah, so on the hourly, you had that, and you had that fair value gap, and yeah, I think people took like a 5 minute ST here, and it went like that and just came back. And a consolidation was what I thought, although it should have been break even. A consolidation was what I thought might get trapped in taking this, but yeah, despite a chart, the point of this case study was, despite a chart can look good, it has to have the fundamentals lining up with it. It has to have the news lining up with it. If you're going to be trading a third candle, you need the proper confirmation. If you've hit an ITL, you need to zoom out to see what those above timeframes are making/made, because that's what ultimately that's what the 4 hour made. Right, could have had a massive breakaway gap, but instead you got, I think take away this away, you almost got a fair value gap. And that's why it's important to know what you're hitting. And ideally, what you would have wanted to see was to wait for 4 hour context. So then you're going from the weekly unusual to the 4 hour usual, or at the very least 1 hour you'd want two on separate price legs, two fair values, so sting back into this, and then another 1 hour one to trade back down. But yeah, it just didn't quite have really what I'd be looking for. And yeah, so it did get reversed from this swing low. It was also a daily. It was a daily previous day low. So don't get tricked by just this. And it was a good reaction, but you have to take into account everything. When you take into account everything, despite a decent chart, you were just stretching time frames a bit too much, not the confirmation you needed. You'd already hit a key target with market structure. And there's just some of the things that you have to be careful for when trading unusual context. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else really to say. Yeah, there wasn't too much else to say really, and yeah, that was it. I will probably be waiting for Friday NFP, although I can't trade because why can't I? I'm not here. Yeah, but nice little case study and good call out from myself that personally I wouldn't be taking this trade prior to this whole setup happening.